Oh, thank God we are finally here. Out of every single television show I have talked about on this channel, this is the one I was the most excited to talk about. I have so many thoughts on this show. I absolutely adore it. For all the wrong reasons, of course. Now, we are talking The Offer. That's right, folks. Do you remember The Godfather, that infamous, most famous, most popular, most beloved movie of all time? Do you remember it? Of course you do. You're a film bro. Because of course you would watch that. Not just like a random person living in their lives cares about The Godfather. Only the film bro cares about it today. And that's who is watching this review. The film bro. So I'm here to tell you, they made a TV show, a 10-episode mini-series about the wonderful world and the wacky mishaps that go into making The Godfather. That's right. In a world where Pam and Tommy prove that we can do this and make it terrible, the making of The Godfather gets its own television series. Holy fucking shit. Oh my God. I cannot believe this exists. First off, I know what you're thinking. You're like, come on, dude, don't be so negative about it. There's probably like a really interesting book behind the scenes. You know, we know you read The Long Goodbye, or The Big Goodbye, which is the story about making Chinatown and how it's like the last studio film in Hollywood, the last big effort thing. So it's surely the making of The Godfather has to be based off of, you know, a book that somebody read, or like a memoir, or like a news article. Like, come on, man. You know this is true. What's the book that people like wrote about it? Come on, it's the story. Even the Sex Pistols stories from The Thing that Steve Jones wrote. So come on, what is the book that The Offer is based on? I'll tell you what the book is. It's based on the experience of Al Ruddy producing The Godfather. That's right, folks. There is no story, no novel based on this series. The series is based on. It is literally just a 90-year-old man talking about his experience making it. And guess what? That 90-year-old man who produced The Godfather 50 years ago, he's a producer on this show. What? So it's not like we're going to remember or look at the like layouts of a novel about The Godfather. We're going to let this guy talk about his experiences. This man who is almost senile, and he's going to tell us his experience. Just remember it for us. And then we're going to make a script around it 10 times over. First off, there is nothing sincere about that. You cannot get Al Ruddy, the actual guy who produced The Godfather, to tell an honest-to-God story about the making of The Godfather based on his fucking memory. Not when it's done, like the year after The Godfather comes out, or 50 years later. There is nothing sincere about that. It is always going to be wrong, always going to be seen as shitty, and I cannot believe that is what happened. You know what else is great about this? If you want more of Hollywood jerking itself off for a minute, Al Ruddy's producing it. He also produced The Godfather. Paramount Plus is the home of this, and it's a Paramount property. Paramount made The Godfather. So if you want a subplot of this story being why Paramount is better than ever, baby, you're going to get it in here. I absolutely, without a shred of doubt, think this is the most incestuous story to come out of Hollywood in recent memory. I don't think there's any redeeming qualities. I don't think there is a single part of this story that is interesting or engaging or should be taken seriously. If you watch this and you're like, wow, look at this love letter to Hollywood and these actors playing people, and you're like, this is brilliant, you're missing so much. And that's the thing about this I love, is that it takes itself so fucking seriously when every single person is giving the worst performance of their career with the worst voices you've ever heard. I cannot believe half of these performances got by and were allowed to go. And look, it's the 70s, baby. It's swinging and fun and everyone's doing their shit. I get it, but holy cow, really? I cannot believe somebody said to Giovanni Ribisi, that's the voice you should go for. Whether you think it's Joe Colombo or not, that's the voice you should go for. It sounds atrocious. He is mumbling and gravelly and just fucking awful throughout the entirety of this thing. But I can't look away because it's just watching a really beautiful train wreck. It's watching everybody behind the scenes, every actor on screen, everybody involved in the process of this show, thinking they are making the fucking Citizen Kane of television. It's insane. It's insane to watch this. And because of that, I had a huge smile on my face, and I'm just like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, but I want to watch all of it. I have to sit here and finish this just to see how far they'll go. How fucking insane can this show go down its own incestuous rabbit hole of praising Coppola and The Godfather and Ruddy and Evans and everybody at Paramount? How far can they make this joke go? They go so freaking far. So Miles Teller, coming off his success of Top Gun, which I'm sure he filmed before he filmed this, he plays Al Ruddy. Al Ruddy, the guy that produced this thing, and it is about him. What is his story? Well, he worked on Hogan's Heroes, wanted to make a movie, got a job at Paramount, made The Godfather. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like it's 10 episodes worth of story for him. Well, it's not, because we have to make him the plucky underdog. You know, that 40-year-old man who has history in the industry, who is known for being temperamental, is somehow the underdog trying to get this thing made. No, thank you. It's not. I love Miles Teller sometimes. I think recently I've accepted who he is because of Top Gun. His Al Ruddy voice is just so weird. It is so obvious, so on the nose. I don't like it. And then he's just gruff through every scene. He has no redeeming qualities. He just is so obsessed with this film, he ruins every relationship he's in and gets attached to the mob. And that's the part of us I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're trying to be anti-mob in this, but at every other scene, Al is obsessed with being friends with Joe. He's actively a part of his life now. And I'm like, what is your message here? Are you against the mob because they're trying to kill him? Or is he just a fan of the Italian mafia that Joe's attached to? It's such a weird mixture of nothingness. And he just gives a very bland performance, and I just buy that everybody hates him. Because it feels authentic. That feels realistic to me. Just a terrible dude who's unlikable in every scene. I talked a little bit about Giovanni Ribisi. Just the worst. Absolutely the worst. I actually can't stand it. And Dan Fogler, hey, a great choice for Coppola. But oh my God, what did they do to Francis Ford Coppola? And I get he had an interesting time working on The Godfather. The man was fucking spit out by Hollywood because of what he did, and the things he wanted to make couldn't get made, and making other movies from him just became a miserable nightmare fest. I get that completely. Why is he just the fat, adorkable loser in this? I don't get it. At every scene, he's just begging Ruddy for help. At every scene, he's just like having like a cheesy one-liner, just looking like he doesn't understand what's going on. Why did they turn Francis Ford Coppola into such a weird little dude who doesn't really get any justice in any scene? It's so frustrating. One of the only scenes I really like from this story is just the scene where as soon as they get the green light to start filming, Francis in his head just goes, okay, now I'm going to be a terrible asshole. Just instantly, he's like, now I have things happening. Now I got to get this going. It's a smart scene. It's played off well. That's more Francis than any other scene they're in. Again, Dan is a great choice for Francis, but oh, did they write him terribly. If I was Francis, I would be pissed off at that. Because, oh, it is rough. It is rough to watch. And I'm just like, I cannot believe that this is what they're doing for that. It is insane. It's insane. And of course, we have to talk about Robert Evans, a staple of Hollywood. Bobby Evs, baby. He is Mr. Hollywood. Matthew Good is playing him. A fantastic choice, if you ask me. But this is the thing where I think Matthew Good is almost in on the joke where nobody else is. Because he has toyed the line so well between a caricature of Bob Evans and being an actual authentic human. It is such a subtle performance, and then it goes completely over the top. Like towards the end of the season, when his wife leaves him, he completely falls apart. He's just doing the joke where he's drinking, he's this poor in his house and just miserable, and he's going to kill himself. I'm like, why did this become the turn all of a sudden? And then this next episode, he just comes back the hero of Hollywood. I'm like, what are you doing? This isn't how people behave. You shouldn't try to make Evans the underdog. He fucking built Hollywood this way. It's so weird. I don't understand why they're doing it. He's supposed to be like the coolest guy in the world, and then we see his downfall, and then we see his resurrection. I'm like, no, this isn't how we should see this. It is just played out so poorly with no subtlety and no nuance to it. It's done, and then it happens again. And that's the other thing about this show. I could harp on forever and ever and ever. It is the most obvious, the most cliche, the most lazily written scripts I have ever seen. And look, as a guy who wants to get into Hollywood, who wants to write scripts, I could write this. I have no professional training. I have no knowledge of the history of any of these people aside from what the show is presenting to me. I could write this. It is not special. It is not creative. It doesn't do any interesting takes. Say what you will about things like Pam and Tommy, which is a show I hate, and Pistol, which is a show I think is tolerable. They take chances in their dialogue. They do certain scenes that break the mold of the format. They do scenes that try to be expository in interesting ways. This is just, let's pretend we're doing some magic. And that's the other problem I have with this show, is that it knows The Godfather is important. So at every scene, everybody involved in making The Godfather can't be presented as they're making a mistake on the actual film. They're always in the right. The people who are the bad guys in the story are like, this is so long, it's so boring. Why is Pacino acting this way? He doesn't look like a leading man. That's the point. And we know that. The fact it goes out of its way to make everybody who doesn't understand that look like a fucking moron is infuriating as hell. It is so frustrating to see, like, oh no, Barry doesn't get it, so obviously he's gonna make bad choices. Just like, what are you doing? It's so lazy and boring. I have to talk about this because this is a very big deal to me. There's not a lot of female representation in this show, except for Juno Temple. I love Juno. She's playing the secretary, assistant, whoever the fuck, to Al Ruddy. Okay? She's kind of based on a real person. I don't understand. This is the thing about shows like this that I don't like. It's that you have to somehow make the one female character you have the most important character in every scene she's in. So every guy is kind of interested in her. She can flirt with everybody. She is fun with everybody. The way they try to make her the smartest character, where she knows everything about the mafia, everything about movie making, she knows the right calls to make, she gets everything going perfectly, is infuriating because she has no flaws then. She's an unmarried woman who is capable of understanding the world, who can handle herself, and every guy is instantly like, yeah, I like her. She's great. She's doing great. Nobody is calling her out on anything. She is just a perfect character capable of doing no wrong. I don't like that. And you know what? I'm fine with Juno Temple doing an okay American accent. She's a good actress. But the fact that they just keep doing that storyline of her, where it's like, first we have Bluthorn feeling that way, and then we have Caesar feeling that way, and then Bob kind of feels that way, and then all these other male characters that she should be feeding off of are just leeching onto her, and suddenly it's not making her look like a real character. It's making her look like, you know, that sassy girl from the era that can just show up and turn heads but still be the smartest one in the room. It's not a real character. It's a caricature, and it's so infuriating and frustrating to see that. I actually put a message on Twitter about that, and a Juno Temple fan page came after me like, just wait till you see when she gets involved with the mafia. She's going to be really cool. And I'm like, no, she doesn't do anything of interest. It's so lazy. It is so obvious. I cannot believe this show. You're making the story of the most important film ever made, like the #1 movie ever for some people. This is what you're doing? The most lazy hack writing you've ever seen, where every scene just feels like a character showing up to deliver their dialogue as opposed to feeling like a real person. You're going to have Paramount talk about Paramount, talk about Paramount, talk about Paramount. You're going to have Ruddy talk about Ruddy, talk about Ruddy, talk about Ruddy. It's like, what the fuck is this? There's nothing real to this. And that's no more apparent than when you see the extras or the side characters they have playing the most famous people in the world. I love it. This, more than any other show I think I've ever seen in my life, feels like a bunch of just fucking asshole-ish students in like film school or theater productions, just like, oh, I get to play all these cool people. Look at me talk about this story so elegantly. I'm going to do my best Brando. That sounded more like John Lennon, but whatever. It's like, you have these talented people that these not talented people are playing. And I'm like, okay. What are you going to do for me? So it is like a high school production. Look, the Evans stuff, the Ruddy stuff, the Joe Colombo stuff, it's all so on the nose and obvious, and it sucks. But what's the most egregious is the guy playing Pacino is so so doing a Pacino impression. It's hilarious. The guy playing Frank Sinatra is just a dude. Like, he looks nothing like Frank, just has nothing going on for him. What the fuck is that? I love it. They have somebody playing Redford for a minute. I think it's Billy Magnuson. It's just like, I get that, but it's like, what? It's so weird. And then one of the guys from like Grey's Anatomy or something is doing a Brando impression. It's arguably the best, but it's still like, wow, you are really just doing an impression of Brando, aren't you? And that leads into like two of the scenes where I actually had to pause the movie. Well, pause the show, I should say, because I cannot believe this just happened in front of my eyes. Honestly, it happened twice in the show. There's one scene kind of in the middle where it's this infamous moment in history of making The Godfather, where Ruddy and Coppola get the cast of the Corleones to have an actual dinner, and they instantly just snap into their roles, and everybody treats Marlon like he's the fucking Godfather, and everyone just falls into line. And I'm just like, if I was at that dinner table and I saw these actors getting so into their characters that they actually just start pretending like Brando is the Godfather, I don't know if I could make the movie. And it's presented so poorly in here because you just have these actors of name like Khan and Brando and Pacino, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? It is so high school drama production. I'm blown away. It's just so dumb looking and stupid. And then like the end of the show, when it's like, we finished the film, we gotta have a premiere for the gangsters or they're gonna kill us, and they're just like joking it right, hey, this better be good or we're gonna kill you, buddy. And they all stand up and applaud the end of The Godfather. How much are you just reaching around your own fucking like body to jerk yourself off? What the fuck are you doing? It is just so on the nose and terrible. I'm embarrassed for this movie, actually. Like, just the fact that somebody came up to Al and said, we have The Godfather. We kind of want to talk about The Godfather. What do you remember about The Godfather? Like, he's like, well, I slept with all these beautiful women. I was one of the talk of the town. I got Bob to quit drinking and smoking and killing himself. I saved Paramount at every instinct. You're like, is that true? He's like, yeah, it's true. Go ask anybody else. They're all dead, so it doesn't matter what I say. Okay, and then it's like, should we talk to Coppola about it? No, let's not talk to Coppola about it. We don't want to bother him. He doesn't like us. He's going to go produce his own movies now, okay? Just trust me. I'm Al Ruddy. I was there. I made everything right. And I'm like, oh my God, really? It's so egregious. So on the nose. And it's like, what if we just get the worst writing? Not the worst writing, but so obvious writing. There's only one character I think was authentic, and that was Bloodhorn, because I'm like, yeah, this guy is played by a guy of the same ethnicity. He's a Paramount regular now. He's also in Halo. I'm like, you do you, buddy. I'm on board. Watching this show, it surprises me that somebody greenlit it. Because it's like actors playing actors in the most cliched manner, where it's like method acting for assholes, where it's just blandless direction, where every scene is just lit terribly. When you're talking about The Godfather, which is a movie infamous for working with shadows and lighting, and you have the most ugly lighting I've ever seen in a show, you're doing something wrong. There's no direction. There's nothing special about The Offer. It is one of the biggest jokes I have ever seen in years, and it's just a Hollywood jerk-off fest. And as much as I love those, it is so egregious. So here's something I just want to get perfectly clear. I want you all to watch this. I want every single one of you to go watch The Offer and laugh your fucking ass off, because nothing about this show is real. It's all a joke. It's all a joke. It's terribly a joke. Don't take it seriously because it's terrible. But if you do think it's serious, you're an idiot. That's all I'm going to say. It's not worth it. So for an entertainment standpoint, it is well worth it. But if you think this is an authentic story with great visuals and writing and acting, you're an idiot, because it's terrible and it's insane. But I kind of love it. I really hope they do a sequel about Chinatown. Oh, I would lose my shit if they did. Can you imagine who they could get to be a Nicholson? Oh, I love it. I hate it, but I love it. So weird. Oh, it's such a stupid fucking show. I love it. Frank Sinatra's just a guy. There's nothing special about him. And we all know Sinatra was connected to the mafia. Why is that a plot point? We know. He's a terrible dude. Sinatra was with the mafia. We know. Oh my God. Ruddy's 91 and he produced this. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, oh, okay. I gotta stop before I lose my mind because this is what it's doing to me. It's killing me. It's literally killing me to think about this show anymore. Oh my god. Okay. The Offer, the mini-series about making The Godfather, brought to you by the guys that made The Godfather. Fuck that. I'm going to give a 1 out of 10. So thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.